Gary Jacobs has come out today with the Hand of Arsenal stamp of approval and said Arsenal are interested in signing West Ham United's Mateus Fernandes. I think just looking at the player and looking at what he's done against us, but also for, against other teams, and I guess for us because against City as well, he is an exceptional long range passer. Um, I think Mateus Fernandes would bring something very different to this Arsenal midfield when it comes to the technical ability, long balls, etc., etc. I think it would be going more on the technical side, but on top of that, he has the duels and he has the physical intensity to cope with the Prem midfield. I feel like I've said it multiple times that maybe that's one area where Lewis Skelly lacks, and Mateus Fernandes to me feels like a Lewis Skelly-esque player, but just a little bit better, just a little bit better, just a little bit more consistent and already Prem proven. So what would I say with Mateus Fernandes? I would say, firstly, I'm concerned a little bit about how this affects Lewis Skelly's future because you look at Mateus Fernandes and his best skill sets, and is this a replacement for Lewis Skelly? Sell Lewis Skelly for higher and buy Mateus Fernandes for lower for someone we think is better quality or is a better peak potential. That's one concern I have. But ignoring the Lewis Skelly future, I think it's an amazing signing. Even if you look at the clubs that are interested in him, you look at PSG, you look at Manchester United, who have recently been pretty good with their signings, beside Ugarte, and you're looking at us, and I think there's one or two others of the European elites that are looking at him. So this is clearly a top player. We've seen him against us multiple times. There's multiple comps going around on Twitter showing his long range passing and his intensity in the duels. But even if you just look against us, we saw that Mateus Fernandes is incredible in the duel, an incredible passer. He's pretty press resistant too. He can drop deep in the middle of the two center backs, split them, and then make line breaking passes, make progressive passes that are long to the channels or to wide to the fullbacks that are going on the byline. Like he has a wide range of passes that he can make. And yes, he is not the tallest, but this is someone that can clearly complement Declan Rice. Would he be a replacement or an alternative to Declan Rice? No way. To me, this seems like a Declan Rice, partner, right? We've seen Zubimendi and Rice play together multiple times this season. I feel like Mateus Fernandes would be a player that combats Zubimendi and combats that other role beside Declan Rice. And maybe let Zubimendi actually play in Rice's role more often, right? So there's a mix. I think for me, if I'm looking at the future of the midfield, which will come out eventually, talking about the future of the midfield for me, and also the future of what I think where our team needs to go, where our team needs to strengthen. I think I definitely want two midfielders, right? You want one that's a more Rice backup, a Buwadi preferably, maybe what's his name, the Aston Villa midfielder. It's blanking. Onana, someone that can cover distance. It's taller, covers differences, lengthy, pause. But then also on top of that, does have technical security, can keep the ball, can progress either through dribbling and long strides or by passing the ball, right? And I think Declan Rice can do all those things, and that's kind of why we struggle to replace him right now. But a Buwadi or a Onana are profiles that can replace him. I don't think a Mateus Fernandes is that type of player. I think he's more of a player that will look to partner Rice, which is why I say Lewis Skelly's future, there's a concern there. If you look at Mateus Fernandes, you assume Mateus Fernandes comes in, and who is he replacing, right? He's not really replacing. Is he replacing Odegaard? Perchance, but Odegaard you'd see more as a 10, and you'd probably look at, if you're replacing Odegaard, you're replacing him with Moreno, and maybe you push Moreno up as a 10, and then you bring in Mateus Fernandes, but that doesn't really make sense given the fact that Moreno is more of a Rice alternative, kind of, and you'd see him play alongside Rice, or you'd see him play alongside Zubimendi a few times. Yes, he plays in the 10 also, so you can see him play against Rice, or play beside Rice, but I feel like with our midfield profiles right now, he's either a competitor for the 10, or he plays in that Rice role. most often, which he can't really do if we're being honest. But so I don't see him as a replacement for Odegaard, because then that would be assuming you move Moreno to a 10 profile, and then you're leaving the Rice, a gap behind Rice, in terms of depth, and Mateus Fernandes does not fill that in. So to summarize, I feel like when it comes to this signing, it feels more of a partner to Rice than, anything related to Rice. And because of that, and that's definitely true just based on their ability, or their attributes, but because of that, that kind of puts Lewis Skelly's future into concern for me. Yeah, I mean, like, you've seen it consistently throughout the season that Odegaard has been looked at as a 10. Him and Eze have clearly been battling out for that spot. I don't think Odegaard will be used as an 8 consistently. It just doesn't seem like that's something Arteta wants to do, is play Eze and Odegaard. Whereas I think if we do make this signing, I would assume that he would want to play Rice and Mateus Fernandes with an Eze at the 10. And where does that leave Lewis Skelly? I guess that leaves Lewis Skelly in battle with Mateus Fernandes for that spot, and that's perfectly fine. Obviously there will be concerns about, is Lewis Skelly as good as Mateus Fernandes? No, probably not right now. So how many minutes will he get? I mean, there has to be a rotation there. So hopefully that means that, we'll just keep those two profiles, start Mateus Fernandes and rotate with, Lewis Skelly coming in once in a while. But the reason I don't see that to be the case is because I don't see Zubamendi as a Rice replacement. I see Rice as, in terms of the midfield we have right now, is a pretty big outlier. There doesn't seem to be a clear Rice replacement, unless you're forcing Moreno in there. I don't think Zubamendi is a Rice. Zubamendi is much more progressive, in specific instances. He has a different range of passing, a different level of passing, but then he also has final actions that Rice can deliver as well, but a different type. It's a more of, there's a pausa there, a pausa I'd say there, that Rice probably doesn't have. So it just doesn't seem like it makes sense. This is a really good signing, but I don't think it makes sense to sign Mateus Fernandes and then also on top of that sign, I would keep Lewis Skelly and then also have Zubamendi. Although Zubamendi is not the same as Lewis Skelly or Mateus Fernandes, he's not the same as Rice either. And so this is a profile that I would say, can partner Rice in a way. I mean, we've seen it throughout the whole season. So where does that, that midfield seems like a big question mark in terms of just numbers, right? Because you can keep all three, but then you have 3 players fighting for one position, which is the position beside Rice, and then you have one player fighting for one position, or maybe Moreno and Rice fighting for that Rice position. It just doesn't, I think there's a big question mark there. And so to me, it feels like Lewis Skelly is going to be a potential, Lewis Skelly might be a potential sale, and we've seen it again today. And this Mateus Fernandes news feels like they are trying to upgrade on Lewis Skelly, sell high, and buy Mateus Fernandes. That's what it feels like to me. How do I feel about that? Obviously, I kind of want the academy products, the Hale End products to stay, but if we have to sell them to improve the team, so be it. But I've seen Lewis Skelly, and this guy he seems like I profile him as a level, like a grade A talent. If you're putting Dowman at a grade S, then you look at Lewis Skelly and probably Nwaneri too as grade A talents, right? Maybe Nwaneri a little bit below, maybe a B plus, but I would hate to see Lewis Skelly go. So to me, there's a big question mark about what happens with Lewis Skelly if we sign Mateus Fernandes. I think that's my main concern with this signing. But the player by himself, I mean, Mateus Fernandes has Mateus Fernandes has the dual winning ability, the tenacity, and the progression to play alongside Declan Rice for our midfield. If anything, he's a very, very good profile to play alongside Declan Rice, and someone that would probably be better than Lewis Skelly right now in the current moment, and as a partner to Rice in the current moment. So you look at the signing of Mateus Fernandes, and it makes so much sense from that perspective. I think the other perspective is does Mateus Fernandes's potential purchase, see an end to Lewis Scully's career at Arsenal unless we move Lewis Scully to a left back profile, move Calafiori to a center back, or Hincapie as a center back. I would be very concerned about what happens with Lewis Scully. Mateus Fernandes is brought in, given the fact that we have Zubimendi and we're buying Mateus Fernandes. So I think those are the big concerns when it comes to this signing. But generally, if we're talking about just the player alone, not how the midfield will look after the purchase, it's an amazing signing and I'm all for it.